All right, greetings, Eisenhower parents and families. My name is Paul Gallagher, principal of Eisenhower Middle School. Purpose of this video is to welcome you to the school building, welcome you to the new school year, and of course, get you ready for back to school night, which is coming up on September 30th from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock p.m. here at EMS. So this video in particular and a couple others that are going to be attached to this email are going to take the place of what would ordinarily be a school-wide family meeting in the auditorium for the first 15 or 20 minutes of back to school night. Of course, we're doing that as one of the many precautions that we're taking as we continue to navigate the COVID-19 pandemic. Our goal for tonight, get you in the school building. As a reminder, just one adult per student, please. But we want to get you in here. We want you to meet their teachers. We want you to walk the halls. We want you to see their learning spaces. And we want you to leave feeling like you're better connected to us. You're better connected to your students' teachers. And we start to establish that trust that is so critical as we work together to support your child or children here at EMS. I wanted to draw your attention to kind of who we are, both as a school and as a district here at Roxbury. Over the past several years, we've been working on what we call our portrait of a graduate. Of course, at first, when you think of a graduate, you're thinking of kids up at Roxbury High School, getting ready to head off to college or career as juniors, seniors. But of course, it is in fact a process that takes years and years and is shared by all of the school buildings across the district. And in particular, we want to draw your attention to what we are doing here at Eisenhower to make sure our kids are leaving 8th grade emotionally intelligent. They're leaders, they're good citizens, they're adaptable, resilient, of course, and they're ready for whatever life has to throw their way. So be sure to check out Ms. Swaim's video on what we call our responsive classroom approach. This is a school-wide philosophy, if you will, to how we foster well-rounded students, not just academically, but also socially and emotionally. There's several things that are built into the core of who we are, and I want to draw your attention to that in a separate video. As we proceed with this particular presentation, I want to focus on how to navigate tonight. For many of you, I understand this may be your first time in our school building. And again, I can't tell you how excited we are to have you here in person. So on the screen right now on the left is just kind of broad master schedule of how the night will play out. If you're here for a 7th grader, there is a column that kind of walks you through the progression of classes that they would typically attend. If you're an 8th grader, your column is on the right-hand side of this table here. And perhaps the most useful thing that you will encounter is something you're either going to walk in the building with or is going to be waiting for you in their first period classroom as you arrive and head to that location. And that is a class-by-class guide, where you're going, the name of the teacher, the room number. This is going to be really useful for you as you navigate the school building. And I want you to know that we're going to have students and staff on site to kind of shepherd you through from one class to the next. As you can see, you'll spend about 12 minutes with each of your students' teachers. And then those of you that participate, or have students rather, that participate in band, orchestra, and or choir, what we call Bach, you'll have some time with those directors at the end of the night. But as you can see, from 7 o'clock, which is the official start of the evening, to 7:06, we're just giving you some time. There'll be a couple booths or tables set up in the lobby, and then you want to make your way to your child's homeroom, their home base, which in almost all cases is also the same place where their first official class will take place. So as we like to say, you're gonna make it to homeroom, you're gonna make it the rest of the way. As a backup plan, I would just also recommend that you make sure you visit Genesis. Notice we're following an A day, and I'll explain what that means in a little bit greater detail in a moment. But as you are preparing for the evening and you want to get a sense of which rooms you're going to visit, which teachers you're likely to meet, be sure you are looking at your child's A-day schedule. Speaking of schedules, typical day is here on the left. I'd say 95% of our school days are going to follow our regular day schedule. You can see that our classes run about 50 minutes in length. And then we have a unit lunch period here, what we call Eagle Hour, which on your student schedule is 4A, 4B. And then you have 3 more academic periods to close out the day. building community, building rapport is a huge part of what we do. Again, I want to encourage you to watch Ms. Swaim's video on Responsive Classroom and our school-wide advisory program. What you see on the right here is what we call an extended homeroom day, which is a day where we've committed extra time to this homeroom advisory period to give that particular cohort of students and teachers chance to really bond, take a little break from routine academics and do some skill building, some social and emotional competency building, and things of that nature. Again, we're looking for well-rounded students here at EMS. So I wanted to make sure that we address some routine matters that are going to impact you on a daily or near daily basis. Of course, that begins with morning drop-offs. Of course, if your student takes the bus, which we strongly recommend all who are eligible for that service take advantage of it, they're going to arrive at the front of the building whenever their bus arrives. If they are walking, please time it out in such a manner that they're not arriving at the building before 7:38. We do not have staff on site to a degree that can guarantee the students' safety before 7:38. So whether they're riding a bike while they're walking while it's still nice weather, or if you are utilizing our car line, which is marked here in red, try to time out your morning so that you're not arriving before 7:38, and of course get here by 7:58 on a regular day so that your student is appropriately marked as present for the purposes of attendance. Now, you'll notice here the morning car line occurs by the gymnasium. Those of you that have been here before with other students, this is routine. I just want to point out the appropriate route is to go all the way to the end where the buses take a break between the building, and that's where you want to make your way across those lanes safely and then approach the building here at EMS. Afternoon's a little bit different because we have all of those buses moving from one place to another. Sometimes we've got high schoolers passing through. I want to really applaud those of you that have been participating in the afternoon car line on a daily basis. You've done a great job staging over there at Mapledale. I know we got to look at what happens in the winter months. It's a narrow road. So please rest assured that we're working on that and we're looking at it. I know the first week was a challenge, but I hope you'll agree that we have refined our practices. The buses are running a nice tight schedule with rare exception, and we've been able to bring that car line from Mapledale over to the front of the building, which is where the green arrows are here at the bottom, and get the kids with rare exception into your cars by 2:45 so that you can move on with your day. So again, those of you that have been participating in that, I really appreciate your patience. It's never easy to kind of get something new up in place, but as we said from the start, safety is our top priority. And those of you that participated in afternoon car lines in the past definitely have experienced, a lot of moving parts over there, a lot of kids crossing in cars, on bikes, walking, scooting, you name it. And it just didn't feel like it was the safest way for us to get them from us to you. Other routine matters include picking up early, or if your student is going to be absent, we utilize Genis for all of these things, right? So if your child's not feeling well or they have something coming up, you're going to log into your parent portal and provide what we call an attendance note in Genesis. The same thing applies if you're planning to pick them up a little bit early. Maybe there's a doctor's appointment, there's a family event. The best route for you to take to help us make sure your student is ready when you need them is to put an attendance note in the Genesis parent portal. Parents have been doing great with this year. We really appreciate it. Let's keep that going. I will say this, if you want to pick up your youngster early, you got to get here before 2:15. Once we hit 2:15, we can start seeing dismissal traffic piling up. We got buses coming through the front loop, and that only becomes more and more intense as we move from 2:15 to 2:30. So, of course, it takes time for the kids to go to their lockers, to get what they need, to get out to you. So anything that is after 2:15, we're going to put you in that afternoon car line that was cited on the previous slide here. So if you want to get in and get out, you got to get here really 2:10 at the latest so we can process you and get you out of here by 2:15. In the past, we've done things like same-day bus changes, which is you want to go home, your child wants to go home with a peer that's on another bus. Of course, that's on hold for now, but I will say while we're together, in a manner of speaking, if that is something that becomes allowable, that needs to come in writing from the parent of the student who's changing their bus, so that Ms. Swaim or myself can review and sign off on that. And that really becomes the student's ticket onto the new bus. The bus driver is not going to let another child onto their bus unless they see Ms. Swaim or I with a signature on that note that lets them know that we have reviewed and approved it. Great news for those of you that participate in clubs, sports, and extracurriculars. As you may be aware, we have 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock late bus routes, which have returned. And of course, we're really excited that that opens up these programs to so many more students. They are generally limited. It's not exactly door to door the way morning or routine afternoon bus routes are, but we do service a great deal of the community. So be sure you check out information on that online. And then we have some information posted here in the building for students to review up at the front lobby to get a sense of where those buses stop. Few not so routine matters. As I mentioned in the beginning, we continue to deal with this pandemic. I understand it's challenging, right? It's still challenging. It's still frustrating. It's still nerve-wracking. It's still all of those things. We recognize that. Please understand that we are, first and foremost, we're operating under the guidelines and mandates that we get from the state of New Jersey. So that includes how we quarantine kids, how long those quarantine lasts, what role vaccination and things like that play, as well as testing. So please do keep in mind, many of these things are not Roxbury decisions, but rather they are coming from the state of New Jersey through executive order and the like. So one of the things that you may have had some experience with is if your student is quarantined, by me or by the school as a result of, where they are in their classroom, who they're sitting next to, and an individual ultimately testing positive for COVID-19. So when that happens, two things are going to happen. You're going to get a phone alert, which will either be, hopefully we can get you on the phone, but if not, it'll be a voicemail drawing your attention to a letter that looks like the one you are seeing on the screen. It is really important that you take a look at this letter. I understand this, I've gotten these from my own kids at home. I know it's the last thing you want to see, but the letter does itemize or articulate for you how those next week and a half, how it's going to look for you and for your student. So in the letter, I'll draw your attention to a few things. One is the date that the individual who tested positive is last in the building. So that's kind of what initiates the timeline from there. Second, as you move to the second paragraph, you're going to see the quarantine period length, right? The quarantine begins the moment you get the letter, and it continues through the last date listed here. So that's what we call your full quarantine date. Sometimes by the time you get the letter, half of the quarantine, the 10-day quarantine is over. And that's just due to how information flows through the system, how long it takes individuals to realize that they're ill or get tested or results to come back, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then in the green highlight, I want to draw your attention to virtual learning info. Unlike last year, we do not have standing broad, a standing virtual learning program here at Eisenhower. What I mean is we don't have students in every class throughout the day participating virtually, right? They're popping up in little pods here or there based on close contact and positive cases. So with that in mind, you may notice that your student may be out, let's say it's a Wednesday, and you find out that your student is in a quarantine group. Virtual learning will begin no later than Friday in that example. So what I mean by that is we may find out late in the evening. Teachers may not find out until the following morning. Youngsters who are finding out about being quarantined may not find out until the following morning. So we want to give everybody a day to kind of get organized, plan ahead, make sure that they're prepared. And then the virtual learning, and for when I say virtual, for core classes, right? ELA, math, science, social studies, that's live stream. You're kind of in there with the class as it's happening. And then as the letter points out, our exploratory courses, those ones that meet on A days or B days, recitals, music, art, etc. World language, whether that be Spanish, French, or Italian, and then also PE. Those happen on alternating days. So those teachers are going to communicate directly with students via Google Classroom and email exactly what they want the kids to be doing. We found an experience from last year that having these classes stream in live as well is too much screen time for the kids. It's not really an enriching experience for the students in a lot of these classes because they are hands-on or they're project-based, and it really was not the best educational experience for certain domains and disciplines. A great example is art, right? You're watching kids in the art studio do art. You may be better served working on an alternate assignment at your own pace, where you can just check in with the teacher, let them know how you're doing, set up a Google Meet if you're having trouble, etc. So I really want to draw everyone's attention to this second paragraph in the letter, because it really is the meat and potatoes of what you need to know to plan for the upcoming days if your child is placed on quarantine by us, right? A school event or a classroom-based quarantine and or exposure. The other route is, life happens outside of the building, right? Maybe there's a sibling at home who tests positive, or you were at an outside event and the health department or another trusted individual let you know, hey, we just tested positive, you should do a quarantine. So if that happens, as noted by Superintendent Radelick, there is an online Google form that you need to complete to notify us of your request for virtual learning. It's important that you have documentation. There's a place where you can upload a test result, even if it's not for your child. It might be for the person who had a close contact with your child, something that lets us know that this is COVID related. We can't do virtual school if you're traveling. We can't do virtual school if you're just kind of having a rough day and you need a day off. The governor has really emphasized the importance of in-school instruction. And for that reason, as I mentioned earlier, we do not have standing virtual learning infrastructure in place the way that we did during the 2020-2021 school. We certainly learned a lot last year. We know how to help students stay connected with their classes when they are quarantined, but it must be related to COVID-19 for your student to be eligible to participate in what we call temporary virtual learning, whether that's, again, dictated by us or dictated by a separate exposure. I've linked in this letter a link to our schedule time so that if you are streaming in for those core classes, you know exactly when those classes are taking place. And in this letter here, it does also just break down for you if your request was approved. Generally, if you're getting the letter, it's because it was approved. If not, I'm probably calling you and we're talking about why it wasn't approved. And then you have a virtual learning start date and a virtual learning end date. Again, you may put in a request on a Tuesday, but virtual learning is not necessarily going to be ready for you first thing Wednesday morning. It takes time for us to process these things. Our attendance office, our health office, our teachers and counselors, everyone needs to kind of be on the same page for the system to work. So please keep in mind those start dates and those end dates may not exactly coincide with the totality of a quarantine experience. So what else do you do if you need help, right? We're still school. Kids still have a lot of responsibilities. They've got a lot of things that they're working through as middle level learners and adolescents. So first and foremost, if it's an individual class, you want to reach out to that teacher. Give that teacher the first opportunity to solve the problem. Best case, the kid reaches out, right? Your child reaches out to their teacher. Hey, here's what's going on. I need help with fill in the blank, right? If perhaps they're not feeling comfortable with that, parents, of course, you're welcome to kind of collaborate with them. But we really encourage the students at this age level to start to be more and more a part of those conversations. If you have broader concerns, maybe several classes, maybe something that's a social issue. A great point of contact would be their school counselor. So 7th graders, that's Ms. Torres Davis. 8th graders, that is Ms. Lomentad, or their case manager, right? Certain students, in lieu of a school counselor, they have a case manager like Ms. Dalupang or Ms. Wright. And then, of course, as an additional support, we have a student assistance counselor, which is Miss Jerry Esposito, not to be confused with Miss Betsy Esposito, which is a 7th grade language arts teacher. And Miss Esposito in particular has a focus on, peer conflicts, harassment, intimidation, bullying, kind of unique experiences that kids might be going through that are beyond routine academics. We do built into our schedule 3 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, have what we call team meeting times. There is no replacing that kind of face-to-face live personal interaction. And if there is a matter that's kind of persisting over days and weeks, sometimes the best thing to do is to just get everybody in a room, get into it, roll up your sleeves, and solve that problem together. So we have time built into our schedule for that exact purpose on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays. Teachers, depending on your child's grade level, can help you with exactly when that time is. Counselors, as well, as you're reaching out and kind of dialoguing about options to support your student. Please keep in mind that that is an option. It can be in person, right? We can figure out a place for you to meet, or we can kind of bring the teachers into a room and then stream you in via Google Meet. And we'll certainly work with you and your schedule and your own personal and work life at home to make every effort to, like I said, get everybody in a room together to advocate for the student in question. And then, of course, myself, Ms. Swaim, our assistant principal, we too stand at the ready. We have supervisors for math, language arts, science, and social studies. We all stand at the ready as an additional layer of support for any matters that you feel are sensitive in nature or best handled by leadership, or for whatever reason you feel like we're the best avenue to support your child. But really, again, the best place to start 99% of the time is to have your youngster reach out to their teacher, or you and they together reach out to the teacher who's closest to the students for the preponderance of time. So, folks, I just want to say, again, can't wait to see you in person. I'll be sending this video probably a little bit before the 30th to give you time to watch this and the other ones. I hope you leave, it's 9:00 p.m. Thursday evening on September 30th. I hope you leave feeling peace. I hope you leave feeling like, hey, my son, my daughter, my child, they have a great team of teachers. They're going to go to some really engaging and interesting classes. They're going to learn about some really relevant topics. They're going to become more and more well-rounded, more and more active and participatory citizens. We're really excited about the path that these students are already on in such a short time. We're really impressed by their ability to kind of reacclimate to the school setting. So we hope that you walk out tonight feeling like you've kind of reacclimated to what the role of a parent of a middle schooler in the year 2021 looks like here at EMS. So with that, have a great evening. Make sure you're following your students' schedule tonight. Stop in at all their classes, visit all their teachers. They can't wait to meet you. And let's have a great year. Bye-bye, everyone.